forget to like and subscribe.
And hit the notification bell
so we can go to college and get more knowledge.
Welcome to Stanford Legal, where we look at the cases, questions, conflicts, and legal stories that affect us all every day. I'm Pam Carlin, along with Joe Bankman. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Pam.
But that's not all. Those aren't the only ways to pay people these days.
That's right. You could also use blockchain technology. Blockchain's kind of a master electronic ledger that records transactions. It's often used with a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or like a currency we'll talk a little bit about today called XRP. And supporters say that blockchain technology is actually faster and cheaper as a way of sending money.
Our colleague Joe Grunfest at the law school. Joe teaches corporate law. He teaches securities regulation. He used to be a commissioner on the Securities Exchange Commission, which is the federal government agency that regulates securities.
And our other guest is Brad Garlinghouse. Brad is the CEO of Ripple, which I think can safely be called the leading firm in this space. Firm in this space, depending how you define the space. He's a 20-year veteran of Silicon Valley.
So, when I think about the G20 world, I think, look, fiat currencies work really well, and I don't see a reason that you would, as a consumer, in the next 10 years, be using XRP to make consumer payments.
Maybe close by covering something a lot of people are wondering about, which is, how do we value these assets? I mean, Bitcoin goes from nothing to 15,000 to 6,000. XRP kind of is correlated in rising and fall. Is this a kind of a tulip craze? However useful they are, how do we know what they're worth?
Well, Brad's pointing at me because he doesn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, and I admire Brad for that decision. So the short answer is, who the hell knows? And if I knew how to value this stuff, I'd be very, very, very rich and wouldn't be sitting here talking with you guys. There are all sorts of theories. I don't think a single one of them actually works. I have profound concerns about the reliability of information in the market. This isn't a market like the SEC where we know that we have credible information about secondary market trading and the like. It is very easy to spam the information networks, have false transactions, have false prices and the like. A lot of it is who the hell knows. But if you take simple microeconomics, you've got demand cases and you've got supply cases. The supply is relatively fixed. We know how many units of Bitcoin are supposed to be out there at any one point in time. And then you've got demand cases. Well, people engaged in illegal activity will sometimes want this stuff. People looking to speculate and simply buy because they expect that the value of Bitcoin will increase in the future. They'll want to buy some of this stuff. People in countries where they're worried about hyperinflation, they'll want to buy some of this stuff, and some people want to buy some of the stuff because it gives them something to talk about at a cocktail party.
I'll maybe just add to that briefly. I violently agree with that. The long-term value of any digital asset, I think, is going to be correlated with the utility if it's solving a problem. And I think, as we've discussed, there's a lot of them that either I don't think they ever were intended to solve a problem, or they won't be successful. But I think there will be digital assets that solve a problem, that have utility, and maybe, yes, for some it'll be solving an anonymity problem. Maybe for some it'll be solving a security settlement problem. But I think over a long arc of time, if there's value, if there's utility, then the market will appreciate that.
And you're seeing leadership, you're providing clear rules, and you're seeing growth. And frankly, that's why Ripple is hiring there. 80% of our hiring this year will be outside the United States. My thoughts, I haven't watched the testimony from yesterday yet. I've read some of the coverage. And I guess my observation is one of the definitions of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and thinking you're going to get a different outcome. XRP is not a security, period. Well, on one hand, it's frustrating. You have a government that has unlimited resources to keep fighting a fight they've already lost, but there's no recourse. And so, for Ripple, we've obviously spent well over $100 million already defending this case. What they have asked permission from the courts to appeal isn't actually whether or not XRP is a security. That is still clear. It's more nuanced about whether or not in certain circumstances, if there's a transaction, it would be an investment contract. I remain very optimistic because I think as you go up the appellate court system in the United States, you actually get more conservative. And that, I think, bodes well. The facts are on our side and the law is on our side. And we'll continue to prevail in court because of that. I think eventually Congress will be, frankly, called to act. But Ripple has, I've been in the company 8.5 years, and every time we've gone through what are often called crypto winters, Ripple has grown. We're in a very strong position with a very strong balance sheet. As you mentioned earlier, we closed one acquisition earlier in the year. We have another pending acquisition right now. We're continuing to play offense in a whole bunch of different ways, and we're growing the business. We're growing our customers. We're growing our product suite. We believe that our customers are coming to us really seeking for us to be the infrastructure provider around blockchain and crypto technologies. And we started the payments, now we're in custody. We'll continue to expand beyond that. I think it's an important thing to talk about. This particular compromise was about an end user compromise, a tool that certain customers were using to access their crypto got compromised. And frankly, that was through, as I understand it, kind of a spear phishing attack, which frankly, it affects crypto, it affects traditional banking, it affects securities. It's super frustrating when those things happen, and I think the whole industry needs to continue. I mean, the whole industry, not just crypto, I mean the financial services industry, because if the end user's accounts and credentials are compromised, there's always going to be risk, whether it's crypto or something else. But look, to your macro point in this, Ripple felt it was important to build trust with Fortress Trust, and we made those customers whole. That business has really done well, and I think are doing a great job of serving their customers, and we're glad to be able to support it and bring it into the Ripple fold.
On the regulatory front, because we have seen a lot of progress in other jurisdictions outside of the US, across Europe, the UK, Middle East, here in Asia, some of those frameworks are quite narrow in the way that they look at crypto. Do you think that also can be a challenge in the sense that, yes, you do have regulatory clarity, but sometimes the regulations are quite strict, and so it's also difficult to operate in those sorts of environments as well?
You know, Ripple received here in Singapore an in-principle approval for our major payments institution licensing. We've applied for licensing something called VARA in Dubai. You know, the strictness doesn't bother me. It's the lack of clarity. If I know, and I think this is true for the whole industry, not just Ripple. Ripple has always tried to lean into regulatory, engaging regulators and being a good actor. It's when it's not clear what being a good actor looks like that it makes it hard. We're willing and happy to invest, even if it's strict. That's fine. What it doesn't work is, frankly, what the United States and Gary Gensler continues to propagate. Confusion masquerades as power to the SEC. The more confusion, the more power they feel they have, because they're just going to keep filing lawsuits.